Welcome back. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the user to the payment page after they have placed an order. So for example, if I place an order, as I have shown you earlier, if you place an order and complete the order, what we want to do is that we want to display the payment page, because this is going to place the order and it's going to inform us as the owner of the business that somebody has placed an order. But in order for us to start shipping the order, we need to get the payment. So we need to tell the user to complete the payment so that we start the process of sending the product or products to the customer. So let's start working on this. And also, by the way, we need to activate this button which takes the user to the cart page. This is very important, and let me show you what I'm going to do first. So the first thing that I'm going to do is that I'm going to open up the index, and in the index, let me activate this button. So we have here in the top, in the navigation bar, let me here say shopping, this shopping icon, I'm going to say cart.php. So this is going to take the user to the cart.php. However, the problem is that in the cart.php, we need to remove a code that would always prevent the user from entering the page. So this line of code, I'm going to comment this out. This is optional if you don't want the user to enter the cart page if they have not clicked, if they have not added anything to cart. You need to uncomment this. If you want users to access the cart page anyways, you can here uncomment this. So I'm gonna uncomment this and show you what's gonna happen now. Let me go to the home page, and in the home page, what I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna click on the cart, and this is gonna take me to the cart, and I have here a problem. Let me refresh first. So now if I click on the cart again, as you can see, it's gonna take me to the cart. And even if I remove this item from the cart, and if I go to the home page, and if I click, let me go to the home page, and if I click on a cart, on the cart icon, it's going to take me to the cart page. But I will not be able to check out. This is the layer of protection that I have added to this to the checkout page. So another thing that I'm going to be working on before working on the payment page is the navigation bar here. So the navigation bar we have here in the shop here. If you go to the cart, the home page is gonna work. Is not gonna work. So we need to fix this as well. So I want you to work on this because this is very simple, and consider this your homework. So I want you to work on this. It's very simple. All you need to do is that you need to open up the navigation bar of each page and change the URL. So for example, here in the cart, in the shopping bag icon, I want you to add here a tag, and I want you to surround this I with a tag, and I want you to add href here. That's gonna say cart.php, which is the same page. And for the home, we need to say index.php. And I want you to I want you to do this to all pages. So consider this as your homework. Let me save, and we are good to go. Welcome back. So now let's continue working on the placing an order feature. So I told you that the first step is to get info and store it in a database. So this is the step. This is getting the info. The second step is to get products from cart, and this step is this: get products from cart, which is this. And then the third step is to issue new order and store order info in database. We already done this. Let me copy this comment and add it in the right place. So this is the line that is going to issue or get, this is going to get the order from the database. And storing the order is this. This line of code is going to insert the order into the database. So the second step, let's say your second step is to issue a new order. The third step is to get products from the cart. I'm going to say here 3. And then the fourth step is to store each single item in orders table. We have done that. Let me copy this. This comment and add it in the right place. So this line of code is going to issue a new order and store in not this one actually. This one store. Let me copy it. Store this line of code. This line of code is going to store each single item in items table, and this is getting the data from the session. And the fifth is to remove everything from the cart, and this step should be delayed for now because we need to remove everything from the cart only after user completes payment. So I'm going to say here delay until payment is done. So it's up to you. If you want to delete everything from the cart, you can do that, but I wouldn't recommend doing that because the user has not paid yet. After user completes payment, we can remove everything from the cart. And finally is to inform user whether everything is fine or not. And if everything is fine, which in this case everything is fine, we need to take the user to the payment page. So the fifth step is to remove everything from cart. I'm going to delay this. However, if you want to delete everything from the cart, you can use the onset function. You can use the onset and then pass the session and then cart. Just remove everything from the cart like this line of code. Very, very simple. However, again, I wouldn't recommend doing that. So I'm going to keep this code like here. I'm going to keep this code right here, and I'm not going to remove everything from the cart until user completes payment. And here the sixth step is to inform user whether payment was successful or not, and take user to the payment page. So in order to take the user to payment page, we need to use the header location and then the payment page. So I'm going to create a page called payment.php, and I'm going to attach here a get parameter. I'm going to say order status is equal to order placed successfully. And you can add this code in if statement after you check this execute. You can do this, or you can leave it here, because if something went wrong, the code will essentially break and the rest will not be executed. So if something goes wrong, we can use if statement with this execute. For example, we can say if something goes wrong here at this point, we can if this is wrong, if this is false, we can take the user to another page. But I'm not gonna complicate the code for now. I'm gonna keep the code very simple, and then later we can add more code as we move on. So this step is to take the user to the payment page with this parameter. So we need to display the payment button so that the user can complete the payment. So I'm going to create a new page here called payment.php. And the code for this page is going to be very similar to other pages. For example, it's going to be similar to the checkout, but I'm not going to display anything but a button, just a button with the payment information. So I'm gonna copy the code from the checkout page, and then I'm gonna paste it in the payment.php. And in the payment.php, what I'm gonna do is that first I'm gonna close down this footer because I'm not gonna work on the footer. The footer is gonna be the same. And I'm gonna close down also the navigation bar. And in between we have the checkout. Instead of checkout, I'm gonna say payment. And here I'm gonna remove many things. So I'm gonna remove this form. Actually, we just need to remove this form. I'm gonna remove this form for now, and I'm just gonna display here payment, and here in this div, I'm just going to say P, and then I'm going to display the total cart. Remember, the total amount is stored in the session. So here I'm going to say echo, and then I'm going to echo the session. I'm going to say echo and then session. And what do we want to echo? We want to echo the total amount. I'm going to say here total, and then semicolon, and don't forget the $sign. And before the $sign, I'm just going to say total payment, and then semicolon, and then $sign. And of course you can display whatever you want to display, but I would recommend just keeping everything simple and just display this, the total amount. And then we need to display also an input, and that input is going to have a first class. I'm going to say class btn, and I'm going to say value, and the value is complete payment or proceed, pay now or pay now. Let's say pay now. And I'm going to also say type submit, type submit, and that's it. I'm going to be working on this later. And before testing, there is a couple of things I need to fix. The first thing is that in the placeorder.php, you'll find that the payment.php is not in the same directory as the place_order.php. Therefore, we need to say dot and then /, because we need to go back or go out of the server, because the placeorder.php is inside the server folder. And if we just say payment without dot, it is going to try to find the payment.php in the server folder, and it's not gonna find it, and we are gonna get an error. So we need to say dot in order to go back, and then we will be able to access the payment. Or we can move the payment. You can move the payment to the server. Let's move the payment to the server. If you want to keep things, let's keep it like this. I don't want to confuse you right now. So here, don't forget to add dot and then / payment.php. Another thing that I want to do is that in the payment.php, at the top here, we don't need to add this code. We just want to display the payment page, so we don't need this code. Let me remove this code for now. The only code that we want is the session. So we just need to say session start. Here we just need to say session start. So you need to say session start, and then you can here say echo and then total payment. And by the way, you can display the message. Let me show you the message that you can display. You can display the message that I passed from the place order. So the place order, I said here, order status is equal to order placed successfully. You can place this message by accessing the get parameter. So you can here say php, and then you can say echo, and then you can echo the get $sign, and then get $sign here, and then get, and then order status, order underscore status, and that's it. You can display it here, and don't forget the $sign. Let me click on File and then Save All, and let me now head on over to the browser and test. So let's add something to the cart and start the process from the beginning. So I'm gonna click on Buy Now, and we should have this product in the cart. I already have this product in the cart, by the way. So let me here check out and place an order. Let me fill out this form quickly. So I filled out this form. Let me click on Place Order and see what's gonna happen. So if you click on Place Order, as you can see, you are gonna get here order placed successfully, and then total payment is this amount, and then Pay Now button. So we just need to fix here the design. I'm gonna say text center, because I want to center these things, and I also want to say here BTN primary for now, just for now, and I can't change it later. Let me refresh, and as you can see, I'm gonna get this message, order placed successfully, and I want to remove the quotes from the order status. So here in the place order, we need to remove these double quotes. I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna remove this, and I should let me remove this as well. I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna remove this as well, and let me refresh. And as you can see, we have here order placed successfully, total payment is this, and then Pay Now button. So payment, I'm gonna be working, what I wanted to tell you is that I'm gonna be working on payment later, because it's gonna take a lot of time. So I'm gonna be working on payment later, but for now we just need to know that the last step is payment. So we added the product to cart, we placed the order in the database, everything's fine except for payment. So payment, we just need to work on it later, and for now we need to work on other things and complete other things until we are done, and then I'm going to be working on payment. Welcome back. Now what we need to do is that we need to work on the login and registration pages. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to start with the registration page. So here we have the register.html. The first step is that we need to rename this register from register.html to register.php. This is the first step. The second step is that we need to open the register.php, and then we need to look for the form. Remember, we have here this form. Let me look for it here, this form, register. Let me close down this one first. Let me try to close down this, because I don't want to let me close down this first here, and then let me close down this second, and now we have the register. So the register, here we have a form. As you can see, we have this form. So this form, it has the name, the email, the password, the confirm password, and the register here. So before we do anything, let's make sure that we have the names. We have name for the name, we have name for the email, for the password, for the confirm password. For the register button, we need to say here name. We need to say name, and the name is gonna be register. And that's it. For the form itself, I'm gonna give it action and method. I'm gonna say method, and the method is gonna be post. So the method is post. The action is going to be, and the action is going to be register.php, which is the same exact page. So I'm going to be using the same page to register the user. So at the top here, we need to add the logic of the registration. So at the top, I'm going to say here PHP, and then PHP. And then what we want to do is that we want to get the data from the form. So let me first go to the register. I'm going to say here register to explain register.php, and to explain what I'm going to do. So the user would type their name, email, password, and confirm the password, and then would click on register. If everything is fine, we need to display that. Otherwise, we need to display an error. So what I'm going to do is that here I'm going to say if is set and then post, because we are dealing with a post request. Is set post, and then this button which has a name called register. So we need to say if is set post register, we need to register the user, else we need to display an error or do something. So in case of error, I'm just gonna keep it empty for now. There is no need to display anything here. And in case the user forgets to fill one of these inputs, there is no problem, because if you try to click on register without filling one of these inputs, it's not going to allow you anyway. So we don't need to worry about this. So here, if register, if it's set post register, what we want to do is that we want to get the data from the form. So we need to say here post, and then name. We need to get the name and store it in a variable called name. And then we need to get the email. So here we need email, and here I'm gonna say email, and then we need password, and here password, and then the password, and lastly the confirm password. So here I'm gonna say confirm password, confirm password, and I'm gonna store it in a variable called confirm password. Now the first thing that we need to check is that we need to compare the password. We need to compare the password with the confirm password and make sure that they match. So I'm going to say here if, and then if password is not equal to the confirm password, then we need to display an error. We need to say header, and then location, and then register.php, and then I'm going to pass a get parameter. I'm going to say error. So error is going to be equal to passwords don't match. And then I'm going to check another error, which is the length of the password. So if the password, str length, and then password is smaller than, let's say, 6 characters, then I'm going to tell the user you cannot use a password that's less than 6 characters. So I'm going to say here header again, and then location, and then register.php, and then I'm going to say error is equal to password must be at least 6 characters. So let's display these errors. So how can you display these errors? You can use the get parameters here above the form. Just below the opening tag of the form, you can say here p paragraph, and then you can here say php, and then you can say echo, and then what do we want to echo? We want to echo the get parameter, the get error, and then we need to give this paragraph a color. I'm going to say style color red, because this is an error. Let's test this part. Or let's continue first. I think we need to continue first because it's going to take some time. So let me continue first and then we are going to test later. So this is going to check whether if passwords don't match. And here, this is going to check if password is less than 6 characters. 6 characters. And then if there's no error, you can, by the way, add many errors. You can customize this depending on what you want to check. But I think these are the most important things. Then, if there is no error, we can here start with the registration process. So the registration process is that we need to get these and then insert them into the database. So to do this, we need to start a connection. So to start a connection, we need to include, remember, we need to say here include, and then we need to include the server / connection. And then we need to use the connection variable. We need to say here con, and then we need to call a function called prepare, and then we need to insert into into what table? Into the users table. We need to insert into the users table, this users table, user ID, name, email, and password. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to say insert into users, and then what do we want to insert? We want to insert the name, email, and password, and the ID will be given by the database. So we need to say the first one is user underscore name. The second is user underscore email. The third is user underscore password. And here we need to say values. What are the values? The values are question marks because I'm going to be using the bind. So I'm going to say here con. I'm going to say here statement. I'm going to store this in a statement. I'm going to say stmt is equal to con, and then I'm going to use this statement, and then I'm going to say bind param, and the parameters are 3 parameters: the username, the email, and the password, SSS. And then we need to pass the email, first the name, and then email, and then password. However, there are two important things that we need to do before this. So these 2 things are: first, the password must be hashed. So in order to hash the password, we need to say here, MD5 and then pass the password. This is going to hash the password. This is very important. And this is one of the best practices of PHP when it comes to security. And if you want to find out more about best practices in PHP when it comes to security, you can take my course about the best practices of PHP, the best security practices of PHP. I'd highly recommend taking this course because it's gonna teach you very important things that you need to take into account whenever you are working with PHP in order to avoid being hacked, and in order to protect your systems and your websites and your web applications. Anyways, we need now to do a very important thing, which is check before doing this. This is gonna create a new user. However, before creating a new user, we need to check whether there is a user with this email or not, because we cannot register the user with many users with the same email. So to do this, we need to create another statement. We need to say here con, and then we need to say prepare, and then select all from users where email is equal to question mark, and then I'm gonna pass here the question mark. I'm gonna say stmt1 is equal to this, and then I'm gonna say stmt1 bind param, and then s, and then comma, and then email, and then I'm gonna say here stmt, and then execute, and then I'm gonna say statement, and then bind result, and then I'm gonna say num underscore rows, and then statement, and then fetch, and then finally I'm gonna say if num browse is not, if it's not equal to 0, then we need to display an error. So I'm gonna say here header, and then location, and then register.php, and then error, and then I'm gonna say user with this email already exists. And here, by the way, we need to say count, and then count star, because we aren't interested in getting information. We are interested only in getting the number of rows. We need to find whether there's an email with, whether there's a user with this email or not. If there is, then we need to stop. Else, we need to continue. So here we need to say header, location, register.php, and display this error in case the number of rows is not equal to 0. So another thing that we need to fix here is that we need to say here user underscore email, not just email. Why? The reason is because in the database, remember in the users table, the column for the email is user underscore email. And here we are using SQL to connect to the database, and I'm here checking, I'm here saying where user email is equal to something. So we need to use this column, user underscore email. And also here, another thing that I wanted to fix here is the get error. This get error, if the error, if the get request is not set, we are this is gonna display a an error. This is gonna display an error instead of displaying the error message itself. So we need to say here, we need to add if statement, and we need to say if is set, only is set, get is set get error. If the error is set error, then I'm gonna execute, I'm gonna here say echo, and then echo this code. That's it. So this code will never be executed unless there is an error message. This is very, very important. Finally, we need to continue working here after we say here statement bind param. We need to execute this. I'm going to say stmt, and then execute this, and we need to bind the we need to store the information in the session, and I'm going to work on this later. But for now, what we want to do is that we need to fix the code a little, because the code now is getting complicated. So here I'm going to say, in order to fix this code, I'm going to say here if password don't match, then we are going to display an error. Here, instead of saying another if statement, I'm going to say else if the password is less than 6 characters, then I'm going to display another error. Here I'm going to say else if there are no errors, if there are no errors, then I'm going to here say else, and then I'm going to push all of this code inside. All of this code will go inside this else. Here I'm going to close this else. And here inside this else, here I'm going to add a comment. I'm going to say if there is no error, then we need to display this. Let me add the closing bracket here and also the closing bracket here and remove it from here because this is gonna make the code more organized. So else if there is no error, then we need to check whether there is a user with this email or not. Here, if statement is gonna check if there is a user with already registered with this email, then we cannot continue. We need to send the user to the, we need to display an error message. Else I'm gonna add this code now. All of this code now will go inside here, and then I'm gonna add a curly bracket. And you need to double check your code because there are so many curly braces. If you get this wrong, it's not gonna work. So I want you to double check your code one more time. So let me here show you the code one more time. If user clicks on register, we get the data from the form and then check whether the email is whether the password and the password confirm match. If they don't match, we display an error. If there is another error, if the password is less than 6 characters, we also display an error. Else, if there are no errors, by the way, these are the errors that I have used. You can add more else ifs here if you want to check for more errors. But I think these are the most important two errors that I want the user to avoid: the password don't match and the password less than 6 characters. Else, if there are no errors, I'm gonna first check whether there is an email, whether there is a user with this email or not. If there is a user with this email, then we need to take the user to the, we need to display an error message. If there is no user with this email, if no user, let me add here a comment. If no user registered with this email before, then we can create a new account with this email and password. And finally here, we need to say statement execute, and then we need to check this by saying if this is correct, if the account has been created successfully. What we want to do is that we need to get the data and display the data. We need to store the user information in the session, because at this point the account has been created successfully. So I'm gonna say here user email is equal to the user email. So here I'm gonna say user email is equal to the user email is equal to the email that the user registered with. And this session, I'm going to create another session with user username is equal to username or name. And we can also create a session logged in is equal to true. And that's it. And then we take the user to the account page. I'm going to say header and then location and then account and then .php, and I'm going to say here register and then is equal to you registered successfully. That's it. Else, if here, if account was created successfully, else account couldn't could not be created for some reason. So we need to display an error here. Again, we need to use the header and then register and then location and then register and then .php and then error is equal to could not create an account at the moment. And that's it. Else here you can display any error. You can here say, for example, header and then location, register.php and then error, and then you can say here please fill in the form. The error is possibly at this point is that the post is not set. So that's it. And the last thing that we need to do is that we need to create the account.php page. So if you go to the account.php, you will find that we have a page called account.html, and we need to convert this to PHP. We need to say account.php. That's it. For now, I'm going to convert it to account.php, and then later I'm going to display the information there. And finally here, actually, if I use the header in the else, it's not going to allow me to enter the page anyways, because the is set here, whenever I enter the page, it's always going to be not set. The post is not going to be set. So here, actually, I shouldn't have this code at all. I should remove this completely. I should remove this code and I shouldn't add this code for now. Let me save, and we can add another code that's going to check whether the user is logged in or not, in order to avoid the user to go to the register if they are logged in. But there is no need for this now. Here we need to say session start. This is the last thing that we need. And the last thing that I'm going to do is that here we need to say statement and then store result. This is very important. You need to call store result, otherwise it's not going to work. This is not going to work. And by the way, here after this if statement, we need to check whether the user is logged in or not, but I'm going to work on this later because I don't want to confuse you right now. So let me now head on over to the browser and test. So first we need to go to the register page, because as you can see, there is no link for the register. So I'm going to say register.php, and then let me create an account. So let me here create an account, and I'm going to type everything correctly, and let me here create an account. So if I click on register, and if everything is fine, as you can see, it's going to take me to the account page. And now in the database, I should find my account. So my account has been created. Now let me go to the register page and try to test for other possible scenarios. Now if I go to the register page, the first problem that I have is that I will be able to go to the register page even though I already have created an account. So this is a problem that I'm going to work on shortly, but first let's test the problems. So the first problem is that if you click on register without filling the form, it's not going to allow you, which is great. And if you try to create an account with the same email. For example, if I try to create an account with this email, let me test. It's not gonna allow you. Let me show you this. So if I click on register, it's gonna say here user with this email already exists. So this is gonna protect the form from creating two accounts with the same email. If you test with the, let's say that the user did not type uh, let's say the emails, the passwords don't match. So if I type here a password, and in the second field I'm gonna type another password that don't match. If I click on register, it's gonna say here password don't match. So you can test this, and I'd recommend testing this multiple times in order to avoid any problems with your form. The last problem is that we need to fix is the registration. So here in the form we need to say else if, and then we need to check the session. We need to say session is set uh, session logged in. Remember, we have here a key called logged in. So if user is logged in, then what we need to do is that we need to say header dot location, and then index or account, actually account.php, and we need to take the user to the account.php because at this point the user has already registered, and we need to exit. So let me test this. So now I'm logged in, I'm registered. So if I try to go to the registration page, I shouldn't be able to enter the, as you can see, I will not be able to enter the registration page. Let me here say register one more time, register.php, and if I try to go to the register, it's not gonna allow me because this is gonna protect the registration page. I'm gonna say here, if user has already registered, then take user to account page. And also in the registration page we have a link here. We have a link for login, so we need to activate this link. I'm going to say here href, and this is going to take the user to the login.php, which is the page that I'm going to work on. So now our registration system is complete.